First, I'll log into HANA Studio. Okay. So we're going to start certification questions. The first question. What is the functionality of an aggregation node in a calculation view? What is the functionality of the aggregation node in a calculation view? Please see. If you go to HANA Studio, let's open HANA Studio, expand content. Let's go to any of the package. Double click on any calculation view. Double click on any calculation view. Click on aggregation. So here, what's the functionality of an aggregation node? You can see here, the functionality of aggregation node is in the aggregation type, in the semantics, you can have different aggregation types. You can have sum, mini, max, count. So you can have different aggregation types in an aggregation node. Let me open any other package. See here you can have sum, max, mini, count, average, variance, standard deviation. So all these are different types of aggregation inside the calculation view. So here, what is the functionality of aggregation node in a calculation view? Choose two. It calculates sum, minimum, maximum values for the selected columns. It provides grouping of filter criteria. It provides deeper control over which columns are totaled. It determines the output structure of the calculation view. So it calculates sum, mini, max, and it provides a deeper control over the which columns have to be totaled. So in here you can see all these aggregation types. Sum, max, maximum of value, minimum of value, count, average to calculate average, variance, and standard deviation. Let us go to the next question. Which of the following is included in rapid deployment solutions, RDS implemented on SAP HANA? So when we see about RDS, we discuss about RDS. So what is the importance of RDS? What is RDS rapid deployment solution? To deploy solutions faster in terms of effort, in terms of documentation, in terms of materials. So what does RDS provide to customers or partners? It provides guides and education materials. It's a mix on-site and offshore consulting. It provides the best practices and templates. RDS does not contain license. RDS does not contain license or conversion of all BEX queries to analytic views. This is completely false. There is no relation between the conversion of all BEX queries. There is no relation between conversion of all BEX queries or mix of the next question. You want to enable the end users to decide at runtime how to restrict data in an information model. Which of the following objects do you use? You want to enable the end user to decide at runtime how to restrict the data in an information model. So how do you restrict? Which of the following objects are used? Input parameter, filters, restricted measures, or variables. So it's basically talking in runtime. If you want to use in runtime in reporting, what can we use? Variables. The input parameters are not used to filter data in runtime. Filters, restricted measures. The answer is variable. Question number 4. You want to create sales analysis by combining your customer master data with the transactional sales data. How do you model your data to ensure best performance? So you want to create a sales analysis by combining customer master, and so this is an attribute view and this is an analytic view. So how do you model? Model transaction data in the data foundation of an analytic view. Model master data in the data foundation of an attribute view. It's simple. And join both of them in the logical join of the analytic view. Master attributes, transaction analytic views, and join them in the analytic views. So other questions are just irrelevant answers. So this is the right answer. What must you do to enable currency conversion with the fixed currency in the analytic view? Set enable for conversion option. So where is this option? So if you go to a measure, you go to the semantics, type, click on this. So can you see this? Here we can see something called, for conversion you have to check this. So once you enable conversion, then it is ready for currency conversions. You have to check the conversion. Set enable for conversion option. You have to check enable for conversion option. Question number 6. You have created two analytic views for actual, plan, financial data each. The data covers multiple years. You want to display actual data, plan data, and the difference in 3 separate columns in a report. The difference column is the calculated column. How do you model this? So what does it say? You have created two analytic views, one for actual, plan. We have done this example. So for multiple years, you want to display actual and plan and the difference. So you have to create a calculation view, combine the analytic views in a calculation view. Do you know this? We done union with constant value. You remember we created an indicator. Indicator is a column that differentiates values coming from different sources. Question number 7, fuzzy search. So what is fuzzy search? It is basically a semi-structured data analysis. When you want to perform a freestyle search, you have to search in multiple columns. So fuzzy search is nothing but it's a functionality in semi-structured data analysis. So when you want to do a search for multiple columns, is nothing but freestyle search. Question number 8. Which task can you perform with the data provisioning view in SAP HANA Studio? So in data provisioning in HANA Studio, what can you do? What can you do? Can you start replication of tables? Yes. Can you set filters? No. Can you apply data transformation? No. Can you suspend tables? Yes. So answer is A and D. Question number 9. Which of the following are characteristics of operational data mart based on SAP HANA? So all these are straightforward answers. All these are very simple and very straightforward answers. So what are the characteristics of operational data mart? So what is operational? Operational means at present, what's the data available? Not history. Operational, the current data. So whenever you want to use operational data, real-time replication for time-critical data, real-time. What is the current status of data at this point of time? Real-time data. It runs directly on operational data, top of operational data, means ECC powered by HANA. Or on HANA. So all these are operational data marts where you have application powered by SAP HANA. Operational nothing but OLTP systems, transactional processing systems. Question number 10. You would like to authorize a user to select and delete data from a specified column table. The user should be able to grant his authorization to other users. So how do we do this? So what do you want to authorize here? A user should select, delete data from a specified column table. So what is a column table? Column table comes under objects. So how can you control data in a column table? By using which privilege? By using object privilege. So tables are objects. You cannot use analytic views. Analytic privilege is not for catalog objects. System privilege is not for tables. Package privilege is not for tables. Object privilege is for tables. Question number 11. Which information model can you use with measures from multiple fact tables? A straightforward answer. Multiple calculation view. Which type of connection does a direct extractor connection use to transfer data in SAP HANA? This is also very straightforward. We know HTTP connection. Which of the following can be grouped when multiple schemas exist in SAP HANA database? So when you have multiple schemas exist, how can you group? Straightforward answer. Data tables. How can you import information model into SAP HANA using Quick View Launch? So how can you import information models? How can you import information models? So import HANA content using delivery unit. So this is not file. We're not talking about files. We're talking about information models. So information models can be imported using a delivery unit. You can export, you can import. Next, which of the following describes an SAP HANA analytic view? A very simple set of tables joined in a star schema. So analytic views are nothing but star schema. So when you have a star schema, nothing but the analytic views. Question number 16. Which of the following steps do you have to execute to import models from one HANA system 1 to another HANA system 2? Choose 3. So it's basically asking us executing to import models. System 1 to system 2, how do you import? So what is the step number 1? We want to import, first thing is assign package to a delivery unit. So create a delivery unit on system 1, import models into system 2, create schema on system 2, create a delivery unit on system 2, export models from system 1. So what is the sequence? First create a delivery unit on system 1, export models from system 1, and finally import models into system 2. Delivery unit, export and import. Straightforward answer. Next, question number 17. So this is again related to semi-structured data. You want to extract entities such as person, countries, products, places from business text from PDF. You want to extract text from PDF. How can we do that? We can use Python-based script. We can use Python-based scripts to extract data from PDF. Answer is B, Python-based text analysis scripts. This is for semi-structured data. Question number 18. When loading data into SAP HANA, which of the following tasks can you perform using SAP data services? Choose 2. So using data services, what tasks can you do? Data filtering and data transformations. Question number 19. Which of the following actions must you perform in SAP HANA system to transport content into another HANA system? How can you do this? So which of the following actions must you perform in SAP HANA system to transport content to another HANA system? The first thing is generate and save export file into a shared directory. You have to export to a shared directory. Assign the content repository to a transport request. This is not the option. Mass copy, no. Assign the package to a delivery unit. The first is we have to assign the package to a delivery unit. After this is done, then you have to generate export file to a shared directory. So once you export file to a shared directory, we can import from there to the quality system. Question number 20. The IT department has a service level agreement, SLA, that states all the production systems must be available to the end user within half an hour of any type of system failure. So within half an hour, the system should up for any failure. Which of these helps to meet SLA for SAP HANA system failures? Nothing but high availability, scale out scenarios. The very straightforward answer. Within half an hour, you want to make the system up. The only solution is high availability. You have to configure high availability, scale out scenario. So if one data center fails, other data center, for example, we have one data center in Delhi, the other data center in Hyderabad. Let's say there is a natural calamity occurred, one data center got collapsed. Immediately within half an hour, we can make other data center up and running. Question number 21. Which of the following can you use to implement currency conversion in an information model? A calculated column in a calculation view? Yes, for calculated columns also we can use currency conversions. And a calculated column in an analytic view. So both in calculation views and analytic views we can use currency conversions. For restricted columns we cannot use. For restricted columns we cannot use. For calculated columns inside an attribute view, no. No attribute view, no restricted columns. Only calculated columns in calculation view and analytic view we can apply currency conversion. Question number 22. Which views do you use to combine two analytic views? Which views do we use to combine two analytic views? So straight answer. Which use? Calculation view. Calculation view. Question number 23. You have created several information models. The colleague of yours needs to be able to work on your information model. So what do? Our friend or colleague want to work on our models. Simply give package privilege. You have to give privileges for package. Then he will be able to work. Straight answer. All these are very straight answers. Which version of your information model are visible on the history tab of the modeler perspective in the SAP HANA Studio? You can only see active versions. Only active version will be available in the history tab. Straight answer. So there are only few scenario based questions. We'll find more scenario based questions in 151 paper. All these are straightforward answers in 131 paper. Prior to modeling in SAP HANA, you want to validate referential integrity between two very large tables in SAP HANA database. Which SAP HANA tool would you use? SQL console. So if you want to validate referential integrity, before even doing data modeling, we don't do data modeling. Before even we start data modeling, how can you do? Using SQL console, you can write SQL queries in SQL console to, before data modeling, you can check the referential integrity. Question number 26. What is the advantage of reporting directly on column tables? So what advantage do you have on column tables? So you don't have to model. So column tables, it eliminates the need of additional modeling. You don't have to model. Directly you can read data from column tables. Question number 27. You want to aggregate grand total sales amount in one currency. In which of the following cases you perform a calculation before aggregation? So what is calculation before aggregation? Now this option, calculation before aggregation, is now change. You see, now it's basically a different option now. I'll just show you. So it is called as enable client-side aggregation. So what is enable client-side aggregation? So you can aggregate data on the client side. So is it always better to aggregate at the database level, transfer to the client, or transfer the line items and aggregate at the client? Which is better? Always aggregating at the database and transferring the result is better. The more the line items you have, the less the performance. So that's why if you enable this, then it will enable client-side aggregation. Otherwise, it will enable database aggregation. So to have good performance, always aggregation need to be done in the database. So that's why when a line item table consists of sales values from two different currencies, or when an aggregate table by country contains sales values in three different currencies, it's always better to aggregate data at the lowest level. Next, what type of calculation would you create to ensure the fastest calculation performance? So what is the fastest calculation performance? To calculate a calculated column, you can use a calculated column that is the fastest, it gives the fastest performance. Question number 29. Which of the following remote data sources can you access with SAP HANA Smart Data Access? Again, straightforward. So can you use ABAP? We cannot use ABAP. Everything you can use, but you cannot use A. For Smart Data Access, cannot access data from SAP systems, only non-SAP systems. 30. When you use SAP Landscape Transformation, which of the following can you set up in the advanced replication settings? So in IUUC REPL content, what can you do? What can you do? Can you change character field length of a table? Can you change the length? Yes, we can change. Can you add a field to a table? Yes, you can add a field. Assign a specific mass transfer to a table? No, we cannot do this. Change the target table for a specific records of a table? No. So you can change the data length. You can add a field to a table in IUUC REPL content. Question number 31. In an analytic view, you need two different logical joins from the data foundation to an attribute view. In the analytic view already contains the attribute views, but you have to use the attribute view again. So what's the answer? Straight answer. One attribute view you want to use twice in an analytic view. Straight answer is to use a derived attribute view. or to copy the attribute view. Derived or copy. 32. Which of the following are the restrictions of SAP HANA flat file upload? So when you're doing flat file upload, what is the restriction? The restriction is you cannot change data type or length once the table is created. So a new table must have 1:1 mapping between flat file columns and table columns. And the upload prevents data type changes when appending data. So for the second time, when you try to append data for already created table, you cannot change data type. And you must have 1:1 mapping between flat file columns and the table columns. 32. 33. You have a table for transaction data. Which different transaction types you want to create an analytic view for only one of the transaction type? How can you ensure the following rows with the required transaction types are displayed in the analytic view? So how can you do this? How do you basically model this kind of scenario? You can create a design time filter. Create a filter on a table. So it's saying you only have to restrict one transaction type. You can create a filter on a table. Straight answer. Next question. Question number 34. A corporation with over 15,000 cost centers would like to ensure that only the person responsible for the cost center may view salary information for individuals assigned to their cost centers. How can a corporation achieve this in SAP HANA? So basically a corporation has 15,000 cost centers and ensures that the person responsible for the cost center may view the salary information of individuals assigned to their cost centers. Very simple. You can create a dynamic analytic privilege. So this is dynamic analytic privilege is you can create using a stored procedure. You can create a stored procedure in the dynamic analytic privilege. So where can you see this? I'll just show you. So if you go to HANA, if you go to analytic privilege, expand analytic privilege, double click on the analytic privilege. Please see here. Here you see fixed. Here you can take catalog procedure. So using a catalog procedure or repository procedure, you can achieve the requirement to change dynamically based on the requirement. Question number 35. Which SAP HANA privilege is used to administer tasks such as creating schema? Nothing but system privilege. In system privilege, you have multiple system privileges like creating schema, taking backup, for doing transports, import, export. All this comes under system privilege. Question number 36. You have created an input parameter in an information model. Which of the following can you use an input parameter? So input parameters can be used in which reporting tool? So the definition of objects in the SAP Business Objects universe. So any of the input parameters in the information model you can use in the universe. In the universe it is available. In the data foundation, you can see these parameters that are created in the backend. Question number 37. A new user has implemented an SAP HANA data model. Which technical user requires writes on the new user schema? sys_repo. So what is sys_repo? Sys_repo is nothing but whenever you want to activate a data model, you need to have a select privilege on _sys_repo, then only the data model gets activated. Otherwise, The data model is not activated. Question number 38. What do you want to define in an attribute view to reduce the initial amount of data selected from the data foundation tables? It's simple. You need to create a filter. You need to create a filter, a static filter value on any column in the data foundation tables. Nothing but again design time filters. You can create a design time filter before the data leaves the table. Question number 39. In a left outer join, the left table has one record and the right table has three records. What is the maximum number of records that you expect in the join result? So what is left outer join? It reads all the entries from left table and common entries from right table. So how many values you have in the left table? One record. How many values in right table? Three records. So what is the answer? If you have only one record, the output will only be one record. So the answer is B, 1. Next question. What are the consequences of executing this top activity on the data provisioning view in the SAP HANA Studio for a table that is currently replicated? So what happens when you do a stop on a table that is currently replicated? It deletes logging tables and DB triggers. So what happens? DB triggers and logging tables are deleted when you do a stop activity in the data provisioning. So until here, until these 40 questions, anyone have any doubts until here? Until these 40 questions. So all these are pretty straight answers. If you basically go through the classes, we discuss all these except I think I did not discuss only, I'll tell you what questions I did not discuss in the class. One is this. You want to extract entities such as person, countries, products from business text, such as PDF. So when you want to extract data, you can use Python-based script analysis. So Python script you can use to extract data. The rest of all the questions we discuss in the sessions. Any doubts until here? Please ask me. Before we can take 5 minutes, we can ask questions, we can discuss. And we have another 40 questions. We can discuss another 40 questions. So here we have a question here. So suspend in SLT will remove RFC connection. No. Suspend in SLT will not remove RFC connection, but just that the data gets halted. Once the data gets halted, the data is available in the logging table. Once you resume, again from logging table, data is available in target. Next question. Can you please explain on how to move data to quality? How to move data to quality and production? Okay. So basically, yeah, I'll just tell you. Basically, when you're working on a project, you have three-tier architecture. One is the development, second one QA, and third one is production. So these systems are connected parallelly. So here you have development, here you have QA, and here you have production. So let's say this is ECC, for example, and this is SLT, and target is HANA. So how does data migration occur now? It's like this. When data is migrated, it's migrated from ECC development to HANA development, ECC quality to HANA quality, ECC production to HANA production. So this is source. In any case, this is source. But movement of objects happen like this. Moving of metadata is like this. Moving of data is like this. So data is created on the ECC production by business, and data is moved from ECC production to HANA production. But moving of objects, the metadata or the information models, we export, delivery unit, resides in common repository, import, test, export, and import. One data models are imported, do data migration, perform data migration. So these are the two questions we have in the chat box. So we'll move to the next questions, next set of questions. Where did it stop? Okay. 41. Question number 41. You modified an analytic view in SAP HANA Studio and saved it without activating it. What is the consequence? Consequence is the active view is only read-only mode. It's only read-only if you did not activate it. Question number 42. A table sales underscore table contains columns, country and sales. Now, you have to calculate calculation underscore tax based on sales tax on the input parameter sales. Using the scripted calculation view, how can you call calc underscore tax function? So we see CE functions. In the CE functions, how can you do this? We can create a calculated column. So the variable, I select country, calculated column as tax from sales underscore table. Straight answer. In a graphical calculation view, you specify dynamic client, default client to be dynamic. How is this client value determined when the view is used? So you see there is an option. If you go to HANA Studio, if you expand security, expand users, double click on any of the user. Here, can you see this session client? So basically when you enter the session client, so this users can see based on this default hard-coded, this value is hard-coded. The client value is used for filtering in content models. So by checking the session client for the user accessing the view. Question number 44. Which of the following are the characteristics of SAP NetWeaver Business Warehouse when migrating it to run on SAP HANA? So when you want to run on SAP HANA, what are the things that you need to consider for BW? So the sizing of your current SAP BW application remains valid. So there is no much change on the application server. It remains valid. It allows you to reuse the available SAP BW application server. So we don't have to disturb any BW application servers. The system usage is same as an equivalent SAP BW on a non-SAP database. So the usage of system is almost same when you have SAP BW even on non-HANA database. So no need to change in the application server, no need to change the hardware. Application server remains same, and system usage also remains with the same functionality. Question number 45. You have two analytic views. One contains actual data and the other contains planned data. You want to combine the two result sets and keep actual and planned data on a separate record. Now we know this. How can you do this? Union in a calculation view. Union with constant value. Straight answer. In a calculation view, you define a calculated column and set calculation before aggregation flag. Which of the following activities is mandatory to activate the view? You need to have the aggregation type selected. So if you want to use calculation before aggregation, you need to select the aggregation type. Which of the following tools can you use to load data into SAP HANA from SAP data source extractors? So how to load from an extractor? Using DXC and using data services. In data services, we have ODP. Extractors can be used for data services. Extractors can be used for DXC. Next question. Two attribute views in the same analytic view contains same column ID. ID of the attribute view for customer and ID of the attribute view for product. In the output, the system automatically renamed one of the column to ID underscore 1. Which of the following can you indicate that ID underscore 1 originated from an attribute view product? It's nothing but very simple. ID is now became ID underscore 1. So what do we call this? Alias. It's nothing but alias of a column. So you see most of the time BUKRS underscore 1 in data foundation. Basically update the alias in the properties of ID underscore 1. Question number 49. When you try to delete an attribute view, you receive an error message. One or more objects are dependent on this object. Which of the following functions can you use to find out which object depends on this view? Where use list, or you can do find out from documentation. So you have something called auto documentation. which documents automatically. Please see, when you select any of the view, right click on this. You see auto documentation. When you click on auto documentation, automatically it generates a document. Click finish. It generates a PDF document for this information model. Auto documentation is running, completed successfully. Let's go back and so do you see desktop? Is the one? No, this is not the one. Let us see the path. Where is path created? This is the path. C underscore. Today's date is 2nd. So let us generate again. Right click, auto documentation. Let me create a folder here. Let's create 123. 123, click OK. Click finish. So like this, a documentation will be generated by system. Calculation view, jet CV. So here you can see where used list. Where used. So this where used will actually give you where this view has been used. That is the use of auto documentation. So what you can do? Where use function or auto documentation function. Next question. Your data model use hierarchies. In which front-end tool can you access these hierarchies? So two tools you can access. One is Business Objects Analysis Edition for OLAP and Business Objects Analysis Edition for Microsoft Office. Why only in these two? Because both of them support MDX. Both of them support, we discuss on this, because both of them support MDX. Analysis for OLAP and Edition for Microsoft Office support hierarchies. Which of the following is the best practice in a calculation view? Apply a static filter on the projection node. So you have a static filter on the projection node. So wherever it is necessary, we can apply this filter on the projection node. You want to use a union to combine two information objects in a calculation view. Which steps do you have to perform? You want to combine, so what do we do? Use union. And then define mappings of columns of the information objects. So define mappings or connect information objects in the union node. Question number 53. You are implementing SAP COPA Accelerator to enable real-time profitability reporting. Which configuration steps must you do? Activate continuous data replication of tables C1, CE2 and CE4. Configure business objects data services replication jobs. Install SAP HANA database clients on all SAP ERP application servers. So what is COPA Accelerator? Is nothing but it's a predefined solution that is given by SAP. So to implement this solution, first we need to replicate these tables. We need to install SAP HANA database clients. And then you need to create a secondary database connection to SAP ERP. This connection is known as ADBC connection. ADBC. ADBC stands for ABAP database connection. So when using this COPA Accelerator, how you have the solution is you have ECC on MS SQL, you have HANA. ECC to HANA is an ADBC connection. You write data into MS SQL. Standard ABAP reports are there. ABAP reports read data from HANA using ADBC connection. So this is one of the first solution that is released to support SAP HANA for ECC system. But nowadays no one is using this. But we have one certification question which is COPA Accelerator. So 54. Which of the following tools you use to communicate with SAP HANA? Web Intelligence, Business Objects Design Studio. So use SQL. So which tools use SQL? WebI, Information Design Tool, and Business Objects Dashboards. All of them use SQL to communicate. What are the advantages of implementing SAP HANA using its rapid deployment solution? Again, same rapid deployment solution, fixed scope, lower risk, and pre-configured content. So SAP gives pre-configured content. You can import that content. Risk is lower because we are not involving much custom development, or we are not starting everything from scratch. And the last one is fixed development. Fixed scope of implementation. So cost is fixed. I mean, when you go for customized projects, it is time and material, based on time and material, but these are fixed scope projects, not time-based time and material projects. 56. In two system landscape, Okay, so in two system landscape, you want to transport SAP HANA information models from source system to target system. The source system has information objects that refer to physical schema 1, and the target schema uses physical schema 2. When you import information objects into target system, the information objects at the target cannot be opened as they still refer to the old schema 1. What must you do to able to open the information objects in the target system? Very simple question. It's saying that one information model is pointing to one schema, S1. You imported those models. Now, you don't have S1, you have S2. So what can you do? Schema mapping. So once you do add schema mapping, we discuss very detailedly on this in session. Once you do schema mapping, then system thinks that we map S1 is equal to S2. So system thinks these tables are available in S2, and then re-import information models. This is a state answer. In an aggregation node of a calculation view, which is the default aggregation type for an aggregated measure? So default is sum. Sum is the default. You receive an activation error in the scripted calculation view that uses the following function: C projection table amount. So what's the error here? The syntax for C projection. So in the syntax for C projection, so what is projection? Nothing but selection of columns. So that when doing selection of columns, you see product is not the part of projection. You only have amount, there is no product. So the filter condition contains a field that is not part of projection list. You don't have product here. So in here you need to say PROD comma amount in the projection list. But simply you're doing filter. This is this is wrong. 59. Which of the following would you use to determine the engines that are used in an information model is queried? We discussed this. You can use visualize plan and you can use explain plan. So both these options will give us what engine is exploited by which model. Question number 60. When you use SLT replication, which of the following determines the name of SAP HANA schema where the replicated data is stored? So what is the name of the schema? It is same as the configuration. Whatever the configuration you create with the same name, schema is created in SLT. This is also straight answer we discuss in the class. So for now, I'll stop the session here until 60 questions. So from 40 to 60, if you have any questions, please ask me. So tomorrow morning, again we start from 61 till 80. And then we'll start with 151 certification questions. So most of the questions that are there in the PDF we already discussed in class, except one or two. Most of the questions we already discussed. So here we have a few questions. I'll read out the questions. How can we check the performance in HANA compared to BW? You can just check on the execution time of the report. So if you have the same data, you can execute how much time it takes to execute on BW and how much time you see. For every view that execute, it gives time in SAP HANA. So based on that, you can check. So next question, in the aggregation, is aggregation mandatory for projecting the view in SAP HANA Live? No. Aggregation is always not mandatory. Okay, then I'll meet you. I'll meet you tomorrow again in the morning at 6 a.m. IST, and we can close off these 20 questions. We can discuss and close, and we can start with 151, which is the latest exam paper. You can see in tomorrow's session. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. IST. Thank you. Good morning and good night to everyone.